Hi, I'm Scott Winegard. I'm probably like 14 or 15 in this picture, and as a teenager, this is basically all I cared about, skateboarding and punk rock. And it was probably not so bad. So this is probably 1986, 1987, and I'll get to the food, but I just gotta go through this. So skateboarding, punk rock, that's all I cared about. It got me to travel, go to New York City. I grew up on Long Island, about 25 minutes train ride, which was really close to where my parents' house was. And I get to go into the city and meet a bunch of crazy people, crazy hair, and start meeting all these just fun people and learning about different things that are just not, suburbs of Long Island. So in high school, I get to see, these are some ads from Thrasher magazine, which was basically I learned everything from that, music and, so there's some bands, Bad Brains and Black Flag and the Cro-Mags, and I got to meet some, the older kids that are a couple years older than me. They kind of took me under their wing because I was pretty good at skateboarding and I liked some cool music, so they got some cool music. So one day, a friend gave me, I was listening to something, probably like the Sex Pistols or something, like something regular, that everybody knew about punk rock, and he's like, you gotta listen to this, you gotta listen to the Cro-Mags, and those are these scary guys right here. And, I heard that, and it just kind of blew my mind. And he's like, you like this? There's a place called CBGB's, and and it's close, and we can go there, and we can go see these bands play. And that turned me on to, that's a record cover, but, they had a bunch of different bands. That's New York City hardcore, and that band playing there is, they're called Gorilla Biscuits. And funny thing about, I'll start this, is that Gorilla Biscuits and the Cro-Mags, they were vegetarian. They didn't promote it. I didn't know anything about this at all. But that was something that they lived, that they started to in their life. They had a clean lifestyle for the most part. And, so I started going to CBGBs, seeing these bands and meeting lots of people. And, I was super young and one of the youngest people there. And it was just exciting and fun. And, and here's a funny picture. You can't see me, but that's me at CBGBs in the crowd. Looks like I got my hand in the air. I'm like yelling something, probably singing along. But CBGBs would be filled with crowds of people and pods of people. And as a kid, I don't know if it was, my dad worked for Pan Am, which is an airline, and they always had like problems. He was going on strike, and then they finally ended up, going under. And I don't know if it's because we didn't have a lot of money, but it just seemed that we ate a lot of chicken. And I hated chicken, always. It was the worst. So one day I'm in high school, in class, and there was a girl, I wasn't talking to her, but I heard her tell somebody, I don't eat chicken, I'm a vegetarian. My eyes blew up. I was like, holy shit. That's, so I turned around, I was like, hey, what did you say? She's like, yeah, I don't eat meat, I'm a vegetarian, I don't eat chicken. I was like, the rest of the class, that was the beginning of the class, and I just kept on going, and I was like, I got it. So basically the bell rang and I ran to the library before the next class and I go to the librarian. I was like, do we have a book on vegetarian? And so, I gotta be a vegetarian. I gotta figure this out. So I get this green book and it said, it's still I know exactly where it is. I still have the book. I don't know the title and I wish I did. I try to ask my parents to find it even though I know exactly where it is. They couldn't find it. So I wanted a picture of it, but it was like, being vegetarian, green book, like Cooper block font, like really generic. And that was it. Like I went home and I was like, sorry, Mom, sorry, Dad, not doing chicken tonight. I'm gonna eat something else. I'll just have like the pasta or whatever the hell we're eating. And I started to figure it out on my own. And that was pretty exciting for me. And because it was also, this is a garden. Like, I loved vegetables as a kid. And my grandfather had a huge garden in the backyard. Like my mom's parents lived out on eastern Long Island, a town called Centum Riches, and behind their property was an abandoned farm, and they just had a big, giant, and it was probably as big as this or bigger. I wish I could find a photo, but I didn't. And we always had vegetables. My grandparents always had vegetables, and I would like go to my grandparents' house as a kid, run in the front door, like, hey, what's up, out in the backyard, and I was just picking stuff off the thing. I love that. So I did not have any problems eating vegetables. I was totally down for that, and that was another thing that was like, get rid of this chicken. So, so I talked about punk rock and CBGBs, and there was this band called Youth of Today, which were like a straight edge hardcore band. They didn't drink, they didn't do drugs, and there was another club that we were going to in Norwalk, Connecticut. It was about an hour drive for us, and I had a couple of the friends I mentioned, so we drove. So on Saturdays or Fridays, we would go to Norwalk, Connecticut, and on Sundays, we would go to CBGB's. And that was basically like my weekend from most of 1987, most of 1988, and most of 1989. And that was like what I did, and me and my friends. But one day, we got to this club, and we were just going to see another couple bands play, and they're like, oh, it's a surprise. Used to Today, and also at this point, Used to Today, 1980, this is 1988, they were like the biggest band of they were like the coolest, they were, they just had everything, like they just had the energy and the message, and they were cool guys, like you can just go up and talk to them, and so we get to the thing, and they're doing this video for a song called No More, and and they had these shirts, Go Vegetarian, and all my friends, because it was part of the starting to become a part of it, and like my friends, but they didn't really know. A lot of my friends, like growing up, but they didn't really jump in yet to the vegetarian thing. But I already was into it. So like, how did you know? This is so cool. But so this turned into this, like all of a sudden, like being a vegetarian is cool, and and then they do this song for this video, and they jump around like maniacs and jump on each other, and they had this cool song about going vegetarian, and it kind of like turned a lot of people onto being a vegetarian, and it's so weird to think about it now as an adult, to how just a bunch of like 15, 16-year-old kids all became vegetarian because of this one song and this like cool band of like a guy in sweatpants and another one in bleached hair, but yeah, so that was a cool moment. So going to punk rock, I get into music, I started playing music, I started my own band, started some new bands. This is a band I did called Fountainhead. It's the same old thing. So I moved into New York City. I start working at a restaurant called, there's another picture of me, this punk rock community. I get up and get into it. So I work at this restaurant. It's called Angelica Kitchen. Angelica Kitchen's, it's still open. It's in the East Village, and it's basically a staple. It's the oldest vegetarian vegan restaurant in New York City, and that's the only reason why I wanted to work there, because it was a vegan restaurant, and I was vegan, and I wanted, but this turned me on to so much and made me learn so many things I didn't know about. We learned about, this is farm to table before, this is local seasonal before anything. Like we had these farmers come in these broken down trucks, and they worked hard, and they had these big coolers, and we would get this beautiful produce, stuff I've never seen before, and learning about like fiddlehead ferns and husk tomatoes and just weird vegetables that and then it was organic and seasonal, and there's this whole community in the East Village, and I lived just a block over, a couple blocks down on Avenue C and 11th Street, and it was just really nice to find this community, because I was into punk rock, and that's a community, and then you find this whole food community, people that really care about what they're doing. Like we had people, the local, what do you call it, gardens. Like there was like community gardens all over at that point, and they would come and we'd save compost for them. And I was like, things I never even thought about. I was just like, it was so really exciting, and it was a really great place to learn and place to work, and meeting the farmers and talking to the farmers, seeing them come and being like, this is Spigarello, it's this green, and just learning about new ingredients and having people around me that would really care and passionate. And Leslie, the owner, she was just super hands-on and really just a really great person to learn from. So that's where I started cooking and started learning about food and taking food more serious. But during this time, I was still playing music, and I ended up starting this band called Texas is the Reason with some friends. And these guys are my best friends in the whole world, and they always will be. And we got some pretty, we got pretty far. We toured the world a couple times. We put out a couple records. And my whole MO the whole time we went on tour was like, where do I get the best vegetarian food? I don't care about anything else. I don't care about the show. I don't care about the opening bands. And I just wanted to eat good food. And, and I also had to go on tour and go to like the Denny's, and like we'd have to, I'd have to like trudge through like, some scary veggie burgers and some white tomatoes, and everyone would be like, oh, you're such a snob. And I was like, but I'm just like, no, I just learned all this stuff working at this restaurant, and I care so much about like what I put in my body and what I like, and what I want to see people eating. I want to get, responsibly sourced, and it's just so scary. So I was like going to the health food stores and like packing a bag and stuff. But we, Texas, we did a lot of touring, and we were about to get a big record deal, and we ended up breaking up. And I went back to Angelica Kitchen and I worked. And I was happy to do it. And I remember walking in the general manager because we were about to sign a record deal with Capitol Records, and he was like, oh, so you're telling me you're not coming back? And I was like, no, I'm actually looking for my job, because we broke up. We were a bunch of kids, and we were just at each other's, I don't regret it. It was a great time, but it was definitely a point where my best friends were not becoming my best friends anymore, and it was a great decision. And so I went back to Angelica, and probably a year later, I got asked to be in this band. And I moved to Orange County, California to join up with the drummer, to live with, we shared an apartment, and the other two guys lived in the Bay Area. And we got together and we recorded this record, a nice record label with a really great producer and record engineer. And we started touring, and it just wasn't the same as it was for me for Texas is the Reason. I liked the music, I liked the guys, but I just wasn't feeling like this wasn't I'm not here, it's not there for me. And I just started realizing I really liked giving people a good experience through food, and like seeing people come in the restaurant, eating and smiling, and making people something, like giving somebody like a really nice salad or vegetable dish, and them going, this is one of the best things I've ever had, was much better than being like, oh my God, I love that song. You guys had that really cool song, and I was like, I wasn't really feeling it. And then also started to get to the point where I just didn't really get along, it wasn't like did not like them, I didn't hate it, but just like, I'm not feeling this, I'm not getting along, I'm not being able to, touring is not what I want to do. Like, Texas is the Reason we're my best friends, and we did this together, and this was like this kind of, actually the guitar player of this band was in Texas is the Reason, that's why I got asked to do it, but it was just this put together thing, and it just wasn't really the same for me. So I ended up going back to New York, and I started working at a restaurant called Pure Food and Wine. And Pure Food and Wine was the first fine dining, raw food restaurant. It was actually just recently closed, unfortunately, and it was in the on Irving Place, 17th Street, and I heard about this restaurant. I worked at a few places before this when I moved to New York, but I heard about this restaurant, I heard about Matthew Kenny, I heard what he wanted to do, and I said I needed to be there. So I went there, I threw a resume and a knife and a hat and a peeler in a bag, and I went there, and I said, I got to work here. So they hired me that day. They asked me to stay and train or trail or whatever you call it, and it was basically downhill from there. In 2 months, Matthew asked me to be a sous chef. In 6 months, Matthew actually ended up leaving to start another company, and I became the chef at Pure Food and Wine, and it was just exciting. This is from 2006 New York Magazine, and we were number 84 out of the best 100 restaurants in New York City, and we were the only one that was a vegetarian restaurant. So that was like really cool, and that actually gave me finally gave me like, wow, what I'm doing is actually worth something. Not that I doubted it was worth anything, but it was something that it meant a lot, and I knew I was on the right path. I didn't need that music thing. Everyone was like, oh, you must miss music, you must be going on a tour, and I was like, no, I want to be a chef. This is what I want to do. I found something I love, and this is really exciting. So that was really great. I stayed there for about 3.5 years, and I needed to do something else, so I stopped, did a little private cooking, and then I started a supper club, a pop-up, and it was called Nasturtium. And I did some pop-ups in some other restaurants. I did it with a really good friend of mine who's a pastry chef at first, and then we ended up being partners, and we were going to open our own restaurant. And before that, I just wanted to do something really great. I wanted to work in a restaurant that really meant something to me and keep giving me some of that last bit of experience. And I went to Noma in Copenhagen. And I was really obsessed with what they did there because it wasn't a vegetarian restaurant, but they focused on vegetables, and they focused on pickling, they focused on preserving, they focused on foraging. And these are all things that I really loved. I was really passionate about myself. And it was an eye-opening, super amazing experience for me, and it still comes up every day, even though that was almost 5 years ago for me. So from there, I connected back with Matthew, and I joined his company. It was growing, and now we have restaurants in Venice Beach, we have a restaurant in Miami, we have a restaurant in New York City, we have a seasonal restaurant in Maine, and then we have culinary schools. And we basically are teaching, well, we're not basically teaching, we are teaching in the culinary schools like the best, raw food technique, and we have students from all over the world every month, day and night, in 3 locations. I just got back from New York for the last level 4, the highest level, and it was super amazing, super exciting, and inspiring. We have people coming and just doing the food that I thought I just wanted to do this little restaurant, and now it's a part of this worldwide thing, and I was super excited by people. I have some pictures. That's actually a cover of a book that we did called Plant Food. Some, raw toast with some vegetables and some more food. I know you guys are about to eat lunch, so I'm going to show you, get you hungry. That's an avocado and radish salad. That's a gazpacho. These are from all over. These are in all our restaurants. Avocado toast. Everyone loves avocado toast in LA. Some tomatoes. That's a Hearts of Palm dish in Miami that I am obsessed with, and I can't wait. I'm going to be there next week. It's the first thing I'm going to eat. And New York, we have a wood-burning oven pizza restaurant called Double Zero. That's where I was just there 2 days ago eating dinner, and it's just so exciting to see these places full and people coming and eating really healthy food and wanting to eat plant-based and giving me the opportunity, giving our team the opportunity. We have an amazing team to help, just create these really exciting food that, basically, when I first showed you the pictures of, when I was traveling, I couldn't even find, I had to go to a small hippie health food store to find soy milk. You can get, probably get almond milk at 7-Eleven. I haven't been in 7-Eleven in a long time, but I'm just assuming. But yeah, and this is Matthew and Juliana and me with a skateboard a couple months ago. That's in Maine. Still have a skateboard. I don't do it as much, but and this is my new band. The team, they're helping out back there, making you guys lunch. That's my old band. This is actually from March. We played a show in March, and for our good friend John Bunch, who passed away, and we got asked to come out and to support him and do a benefit for him and his family. And we said we didn't even have to think twice about doing it, and just to show you I still got it. Yeah, that's me. But yeah, so it's really exciting. I wouldn't be here without punk rock. I wouldn't be here without skateboarding, and I would have never thought that skateboarding and punk rock would turn me into thinking about vegetables and leading my life this way. So thank you so much.